What is up there, workforce? Chris here with Work to Game, and I have put out my impressions of just the game and just me gushing about how excited I am at how good Shadowbringers has been right out of the gate. But I wanted to put together something that will talk from a standpoint of spoilers. I'm not trying to get in like any real excruciating detail or anything, but I am not going to be watching what I talk about here. So if you want the non-spoiler version of this video that rolled before this, that should already be up. But if you are worried that I'm going to mention something about story, I absolutely am. So on that note, Shadowbringers, incredible. It is wonderful for the first time for me to feel like I can actually spoil something in 14 if I want to, because like I actually engaged. I watched every single cutscene. I read every single quest that I've done. I mean, granted, I was really low on sleep on a lot of it, so please don't quiz me. But I took a lot of it in. I learned a lot. I have a ton of questions about Ascians, and I have a ton of questions about kind of us, where we come from, what we are. I have questions about Sundering that obviously many of those could be answered. So I plan on going back and watching a lot more lore videos with that kind of, with those questions in mind. Some of them made by Brian that I haven't seen yet, and because I've been busy, and some of them made by some other creators. And I just have an interest in the story that I've never had before. I tried engaging with the story in Stormblood, and it just didn't catch me. I tried engaging in Heavensward, and I just felt it was holding back my ability to get to the gameplay. And then in ARR, I didn't even try. And it's incredible. I played as a warrior, and I hope that everybody else feels the same way I did, even no matter what class you played. But as a warrior, like, I felt like the story was written for me. It engaged with my character. I think that Ardbert, like being a warrior, when I got my relic set, it being Ardbert's set basically, really feels like, wow, that's me. Like, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the game. Like, that's super cool. But like, warrior, picking up that axe, like that's me. Like, I got the biggest chills when it panned to Ardbert and the music, and it was silent, and the music started, and it's where we merge at the very end, and like, just holy crap, I'm getting chills just talking about it. I've got goosebumps here. It unbelievable. Playing the role quests, I have not played the role quest beyond the tank role quest line, and I'll try not to spoil this too much just in case any of you haven't seen that, but getting a chance to explore behind your role like really connected me to the story. So I don't want to necessarily spoil that, because I know you guys may have signed up for a spoiler stream, but you haven't done all your role quests yet. So I have talked to somebody about what's in the like, they went through the role quest as a black mage, and without spoiling it for me, I just had a couple of like really loose questions like, hey, is it this sort of thing that goes on? And they were like, no, don't you mean something like kind of like this? And we were both super vague. And so it's very clear to me that the role quests are very different. So those are still something I'd hold off on talking about spoilers of. But like the tank one, fantastic, incredible. I felt like it actually did teach me my role just a little bit. I did intentionally try screwing up a few mechanics, and it did punish me. So I think that, you know, I wish it had been a little more Hall of the Novice in its like mechanics, but and I wish that they had done a better job explaining where the Exarch comes from, because I think that everybody who played the first 3 games knows that, and up until that point, like, I felt like I literally didn't have to draw on any previous information. Everything could have been, you know what, I just got a level 70 character handed to me by a friend, and I happened to suddenly be able to do a decent form of the rotation. I can get through all this content and enjoy it. With the exception of who the Exarch is. I'm sure that was like a, oh, like type moment, and it wasn't for me. I was like, am I supposed to know you? And in the prompt, it said like, you know, that thing, and he's like, oh, you know who I am. Like, basically, no, I don't. So, you know, I've gotten a little more history on that now, but I think at that time it would have been really cool if they'd done a better job. And later they do kind of go back, but I wish they'd done a better job of elaborating on who the Exarch is. And how his connection to the Crystal Tower and all of that. Like, I could have used more. Like, I appreciate you telling me a lot, but like, I need to back up and ask some really basic questions before we move any further. I question things about like how dead an Ascian really is, just because of the nature of what we learned about what Ascians are. But maybe that's just me being pessimistic about playing games where like people that die don't seem to stay dead. Um, I wish that they had actually killed somebody off. I don't know who, but just some part of me felt a little bit like the end of like the early Avengers movies, where like you already know how it's going to end before you sit down to the movie. So like the fact that Y'shtola didn't stay dead, the fact that Thancred didn't really die. Like I'm not saying I wanted them to die, but like from an emotional standpoint, I think the story would have had more heft had we actually killed somebody off in a meaningful way there. Had we lost Alice or Alpha No or something like that in the initial story serving, I think that there would just be a lot more like outrage and like emotional pouring out right now. There'd be almost this mourning for a character because I don't feel that we can lose any of them. And that's what would have made it so meaningful. But maybe that's just the same part of me that enjoys shows like Game of Thrones. I felt that the Valkyrie thing was pretty straightforward. It was pretty predictable, like at each step, and then getting to know that we would get to fight Emmett Selk, that felt like a logical way to end it. I really felt that this was written for me, and I say that from a standpoint of like it really hit home for me. And as I watch other people who look for different things in games play through and feel the same way, I am really excited for what that means for the impact of this game. If everybody can come at it from a different view and a different angle and feel like they got their own personalized story, that it reached out and spoke to just you, this game could have a very long-lasting impact. This game, I mean, obviously we won't know until we get the end of a 2-year cycle, but at the end of this 2 years, this could be one of those moments that we look back on, like the way WoW players look back on the Burning Crusade. It's not that there haven't been other good expansions. There's just a fondness, and there's just a shaping of community. There's still people that hang out in real life because they were in a guild during Burning Crusade with those people. It was just a moment in time that was really unique for the community, and this could be that moment. So to see that kind of coming in advance is just a wave of overwhelmingness. The imagining for a second what it's going to be like in a year and a half, and a few months at FanFest, getting our 6.0 announcements and coming off of a year of this together, like I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited for what this next year is going to bring. I wish the story had left a few more open-ended questions so that we knew where we were going with 5.1, 5.2. They really did a good job of kind of buttoning it up pretty well. And I kind of wish that maybe like Emmett Selk had been like our last fight of the expansion. So the whole time it's like, are we not going to get to fight him? And like just tease it to us like, oh, you're totally fighting him next. Oh, there's no reason to fight him. We're cool. And like just kind of back and forth, back and forth. I think that would have been neat. Even if they'd done something like, you thought you killed Loprea. Really quite a bummer that you sacrificed so much to not kill them. So I think there's definitely that could have been an interesting way to end it. But, and I'm sure this is somebody who didn't play any of the last expansion. So maybe you guys are like, you can't say that, that's canon. But I mean, it's a video game. So in my mind, as somebody who doesn't heavily invest in all the lore in all video games, you can do whatever you want as long as you do it well. So the music set the tone for this game. If you're not playing with the music on, you got to turn it on. And I am somebody who always, when I'm not streaming and stuff, I've got Pandora, Spotify, something like that in the background, something that I can't stream because I don't own that music. I turn game music down because you hear the same tracks over and over and over, and so I just prefer to have the radio or Netflix or HBO or something like that in the background when I'm just sitting there grinding, gathering, or whatever. Not for now. Not for now. At least for a substantial amount of time, this music is something that I think really sets the tone, and really sets an incredible pace for where they could go from here with music. I don't know how they keep this up at all. The fate system's great. I'm a little concerned that it's going to be Blue Mage all over again, that we're going to do our 66 fates in each zone and then we're not going to touch it. So I hope they find a way to continue to support that. And this is just me dumping my initial impressions, thoughts. It's not necessarily a review per se, but this is just my initial reaction without having to worry about spoiling anything. So this is just me saying where I'm at. I have not been this excited about a video game in a long time. I have not maintained the excitement once I got my hands on the game and once I put my 40 or more hours into the game in a long time. I am worried about telling people how excited about this game I am, because if that convinces them to buy it, I hope I don't overhype it for them. But I really am just blown away by this. And I hope you guys are enjoying it even half as much as I am. Because if I enjoy the next game I play half as much as I enjoy this one, that's going to be a great game. This is it's all I can talk about. It's all I can think about. When the servers go offline, my first reaction is like, I can't sleep. I should play some Final Fantasy. Oh, dang it. They haven't been offline that much. I'm really excited, guys. I just wanted to kind of sit down and record something where I didn't have to watch what I said, and just say, like, I really felt like this was a story that I could engage with, and over the next 2 years, like, I really feel it's written for me, and I don't think it is. I think it's written for 16 million players. So the fact that it feels like I'm not, in fact, the fact that I walked into a 16 million person auditorium and I'm sitting in the audience and I feel like the lights dimmed and the people on stage performed for me and only me. That's the kind of things you say about a performance, about a movie, about a play, about a concert that shapes the way you experience that type of media from here on out. In 2019, they could have just lazily crossed the bar, and instead they redefined what I will expect from every MMO launch for the rest of my life. Simply incredible. I had a blast. I can't even find my words. I can't. I don't know. I'm somebody that talks a lot, and it's a hard game to totally feel like I sum it up. I text out, or I tweet out like, hey, this is what I think about the game, and then I already realized, no, that wasn't enough. I got to add a sentence on. Because the context here is, no matter what I'm talking positively about, it's in the context of something else that's already good. The fates are good in beautiful zones. The dungeons have incredible mechanics in beautiful zones with incredible music. My class feels good in all content. I didn't put my glamour on. I'm about to. I'll go back to being a pig for the rest of the expansion on all my tanks. But I didn't put my glamour on because I wanted to kind of see what the content looks like. And because you swap out your gear like every 45 minutes, it feels like. And my gear looks incredible. Like, consistently, these sets have looked really, really good. I think there was one that didn't just, like, do it for me, like, immediately. The moment I got a piece, I was like, yes, that. The weapons have been fantastic. I'm super excited to wield a hammer, but not because they did not give me some incredible axe options, just because I've never gotten to run around with a big hammer before. Oh, way to go. Way to go, Square. Way to go, Yoshi P and the dev team. Thank you so much. I don't know how the community is going to find a way to thank you, but I hope that you are living off some of our excitement. There has been so much excitement that people actually aren't all watching streams, and they're not all watching YouTube videos, and they're not all tweeting, because I think it's because they're playing and they don't want spoilers. So the amount of respect out there for the game, the amount of positivity I go into these dungeons, everybody's like, first time, amazing story. Oh man, can't wait to see where this goes. And it's like, we're all blind and we're all hyped. It's when we have day one wipes on trials and everybody's staying positive, that's because the content is good enough to overcome the fact that we just died. I have been in day one content in this game before where it gets negative. This expansion is entirely thanks to the efforts and I don't know if it's luck. I think other dev teams do listen, and I think they do try. I don't think there's anybody out there like, well, screw the customer and I don't even care if this game's good. I think they do care, but it landed. So way to go. Thank you, Square. Thank you so much to everybody involved. The people that made it possible for all of that to come into English for us, the amount of voice acting out there, the music, the combat, the story writing, the dungeon design, the server stability, as a tip. I mean, for 60 million people playing, the fact that my queue times are as short as they are, there are queues, but way to go. So excited. Cannot wait to see where the story goes from here. I have so many more questions about Asians and their power to create. Were we all kind of created by Asians? What are we? I'm still kind of lost on that. The rules of the Sundering are something I really want to know more about. Like when somebody's born, like how does all that happen? How does that take place? So that's something that I want to go sit in an Ethos stream and see if I can get like a big elaborate answer that really helps me understand some things that I feel that the story, they're not inconsistencies, they're just questions. So I don't know. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go play a ton of the game and dive deeper into the story for the first time ever. I can't wait for New Game Plus, and I don't know that I ever want to leave the first, but New Game Plus is something that I think might give me a chance, depending on how well it lets you kind of pick up and start where you want. Maybe I can, somebody can clue me in on, oh, if you just play this section of the story, and so I can go back and I can start taking bites out of just the huge amount of story that I'm now behind on. So with that, I'm going to go log in and enjoy the game. My name is Chris with Work2Game. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I hope you're enjoying Shadowbringers. It's simply incredible. Amazing. I'll see you guys next time.